How do you co-parent with a narcissistic spouse? The best way to co-parent children with a narcissistic spouse is to keep in mind a long game. Play the long game. Set long-term goals for you and for your children and the relationship that you would like to have with them, and then play that long game, which means you're going to have to put up with a lot of stuff in the short term, and you're not going to like it. It's going to be nasty. My name is Kevin, and this is The Royal We. Now, before I continue, I want to let you know that I'm here to support you. Down in the description box, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments with me. In addition to that, I have a brand new life coaching program where I teach every day, Monday through Friday, live with questions and answers. It's only $49 for the entire month. You cannot afford to miss out on this. My coaching program is live. It's not pre-recorded. It's not old stuff that you got to watch. I am spending my time with you each and every day, and together we are digging deep into healing from narcissistic abuse. So get down there and get registered, and I will see you in class. Now, personally, I have not had the displeasure of having to co-parent with a narcissistic person. However, I am the adult product of co-parenting between a very narcissistic father and a very damaged, distant, alcoholic mother as the consequences of being involved in co-parenting with a narcissistic father. In addition to that, over the past 5 years of coaching and taking one-on-one telephone calls, I've spoken to many people who are in the situation of having to try to co-parent with a narcissistic partner. And based on my own personal experiences, along with what I've heard, it is absolutely nasty and disturbing. There is almost nothing as disgusting as the co-parenting efforts of a narcissistic mother or father. Because at some point, not even at some point, right away you realize that nothing is about the well-being of the actual child. It's about winning. That's that old narcissistic spirit, right? Winning. Whatever it takes to win. I can't be outdone by that other parent. And this means even if their child doesn't see their mother or doesn't see their father, that's okay with them as long as they win. It's not about what's best for the child. And so some of you might be up against this. I experienced this growing up as a child myself. I can recall my narcissistic father fighting and arguing, oftentimes even physically, at the front door. And they would fight over child support. My narcissistic father was horrible when it came to paying child support and paying it on time. It was a fight. My narcissistic father didn't believe he should have to pay child support, so he made it very difficult on my mother. She had to go routes and make sure he paid it, which made him mad, and he'd show up. And oftentimes there would even be a physical altercation between the two of them. It was gross. Now, obviously, any parent that actually cares about the well-being of the child would have no problem financially supporting the child that they had every much a part of creating and bringing into the world. Right? And I remember early on in my life in the conversations I had with my father, he would try to explain to me the reason he doesn't like having to pay child support is because he feels like he should be able to have me full time. And so again, it was just more of a punishing effort. He was playing games to win against my mother, make things difficult for her. And eventually I had to realize that it was never about me. It was just about the game they had. Gross, disgusting game. Now, if you're in this situation and you are co-parenting with a narcissistic person, here's my best advice for you. Forget about the short term and what's happening right now in the moment. And when I say forget about it, I don't mean forget about the well-being of your child. No. Be the best parent you can. When I say forget about it, don't buy into the games of the narcissistic person. Don't allow them to infiltrate your mind and your emotions. Instead, plan for the long game. Play the long game. What does this mean? Ultimately, a child, any child, wants to learn who they can go to in life, to be able to talk to be able to share their life with. Position yourself in that child's life, if you have to co-parent, in such a way that you become that parent. When you're co-parenting, don't play into the game, the short-term game of putting down the narcissist, trying to prove who's wrong, blah, 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 on and on. The dumb, lame, disgusting fight, because the child doesn't care. I didn't care when I was a child. I knew nothing about their personal dilemma with the narcissistic fighting. I knew nothing about it. All I cared about as a child was, well, who can I go to? Who can listen to me? Who can I share my life with? That's all I wanted to know. Even as I was growing up and entering into puberty and high school, who can be there for me? Who's going to understand the issues I'm having with bullies at school? Who can I talk to about girls? Who can I talk to about friends? Who can I talk to about weird things that are being introduced to me in the public school system, out on the schoolyard? Who can I talk to safely? That's all I wanted to know. I wasn't interested in who thought who, and as far as my parents go, was worse and whatever. All I wanted was that. So why am I telling you this? Because if you can play the long game, this is what it means. You position yourself in that child's life where you make it about them. No matter how much time you get to spend with them, maybe you only get to spend every other weekend because that narcissistic co-parent that you're dealing with is making it very difficult for you to spend any time, because that's what they want to do. They want to win by taking away your rights to see the kids or whatever. So you then have to be on your A game when you are with your children. Make it about them. Become that person that over time they want to come to. That's the long game. And it may not be now as they're little children. In fact, you may see some horrible things. You may come across your young children repeating things that the other narcissistic parent says. So they may say things about you that aren't true. You may have a young child saying, "Daddy, Mommy says you're a horrible person." And it's going to break your heart. Or your child might say, "Mommy, Daddy says that you're crazy." And it may break your heart. But you're going to have to understand something. That's not your child speaking. That's the narcissistic co-parent puppeting your child, manipulating your child, gaslighting, doing the whole smear campaign through the child. And it's heartbreaking. I know it's difficult, but you're going to have to see through that. You're going to have to see through the child and see that nasty narcissistic co-parent. And so you're going to have to not allow that to get you riled up, because then you're likely to get angry and frustrated and then speak to that child in a manner that's going to further damage and break that child. So instead, acknowledge where it's coming from, but then start to position yourself through loving and through smiling, through caring, through being there, and through enjoying each and every moment with your child, because in time, the long game, the child will remember that. Your child is not going to remember what they said to you that they were puppeted to say by a narcissistic person, but they will remember each and every moment of joy of being in your presence because you made it about them. That's the long game. Why do we call this the long game? Because one day these children are not going to be children anymore. They're going to grow. It may not look like how you want them to grow because of the co-parenting dynamic, but they will grow. They'll become teenagers. They'll get into be their early 20s. They will get licenses. They will start to be able to drive. And guess what? Guess where they're going to want to be on their own time when they actually have more freedom and more choice? That's right. They're going to want to come find you. Why? Because you were the safe place for them to be. Even if you saw them only every other week, and even if you saw them once a month, you were safe, you were joy-filled, and you showed them that you cared for them. You weren't using them in some kind of a chess piece in your game against the other narcissistic parent. And children will remember that. I would have remembered that because I was looking for that all my life. I always felt like I was some kind of a pawn on a game board between a narcissistic father and a busted mother. Right? I didn't feel comfortable going to either one as a result. That's why I'm sharing this with you. Allow them the opportunity, no matter what they're saying, to become comfortable with coming to you. The long game looks like you having the relationship you want, perhaps when they're older and free and on their own. Aim for that and make that your goal, which means also, by the way, you're going to have to snap out of whatever the narcissist damage was done to you and start to build your own life. This is another part of it. How else do you co-parent? Start to build your life. Start to make your life more exciting as well. Whether it's different relationships, traveling, new career, job, make your life. Don't be somebody who's busted up, broken for the rest of your life because of the narcissistic co-parent. The child's not going to want to be around that either. And when they grow up, they're not going to want to be around that because you have nothing good to offer. So you've got to keep working on your life. That's the second part. So the goal is to play the long game, which if I were to summarize what we've talked about, it's two things. Number one, focus on that child. Be somebody that the child can feel safe to be around and who wants to be around. And then number two, build your life up outside of that broken, nasty, toxic relationship that ended. Build your new life up in such a way that your children or your child wants to come and learn from you and be a part of your life and you a part of theirs. Make your life something worth sharing. All right? You have the power to do that. Listen, I am here to support you. Down below in the description box, you'll find access for one-on-one appointments with me. In addition to that, brand new life coaching program where I teach every day, Monday through Friday. All of that is down below. Royal We Fellowship is our in-depth biblical study into narcissism. You can find the link to that down below as well. And I will be back with more videos for you. Before I go, watch this video right here. This video is going to be recommended by the YouTube algorithm. So I'm going to trust that it's a good video for you to watch. All right, and I'll be back with more right here on the Royal We.